name is Cosmic, and today I want to show you some introduction to Zbrush 4 from Pixelogic. I use this tool every day. I think you have seen works done with Zbrush before. If you go to the movies, you see Zbrush in... Is it okay? 1, 2, 3. Cool, thank you. If you watch Avatar or Tron or every thinkable movie you can think of, I think the software Zbrush is used. I bought a license 5 years ago, and every upgrade that comes you get for free if you're a registered user. I'm not a seller from Pixelogic Zbrush, but this is cool. Every new feature you get for free. And basically, Zbrush is a painting tool, but not only you can paint in the X and Y axis, but you can also paint with depth. You imagine you paint with oil color on a canvas, and you apply physically depth onto the canvas. And this is achieved. You have if you open up Zbrush, you start up. Kein Problem.
Das ist einfach zu leise.
JCO has a louder voice than me. Okay, thank you. Okay, if you open up Zbrush, you get this interface. It looks a little bit complicated, but it isn't. You have your canvas. You can, as I told you, not only paint in the X and the Y axes. You have so-called 2.5D tools, and those you can find up here. And these tools are working like the tools in Photoshop, not that precise like in Photoshop. It's not meant to be Photoshop. But for example, if I take the simple brush, you build up your tool by yourself. It consists of a alpha. A alpha is a grayscale image, which defines the brighter the area of an alpha is, the nearer the paint will be on your to the camera or to your eye. And if I choose the simple brush and adjust, for example, a alpha 33, it's a custom brush that comes with Zbrush. Then you have here on the top mRGB, RGB, M, Z-add, and Z-sub. And Z-add defines that if I paint on the canvas with the selected stroke, you have line, you have freehand, you have drag rectangular, and so on, that I would paint with depth onto the canvas, and also with mRGB. mRGB means I paint with the color picked on from the color picker, and there are shaders. There are custom shaders, and you can build something them on your own. And if I pick this default material, and if I paint on this canvas, then you can see it's like oil you are placing on the canvas. And if I'd choose only RGB, Z-add off, and pick a color, like a green, then I would apply this green onto the existing depth information that's already on the canvas. You can use textures, and you can choose, for example, the rectangular stroke. And these sliders give you the possibility to say how great or high the intensity is you use this color information onto this existing depth information. And the thing is, this is only the start of Zbrush. The basic concept, if you go into 3D, you learn this once, and you can apply these techniques in the 3D space as well. And just to talk about the 3D space in Zbrush, you can handle at home. I have a system, Mac Pro with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and every tool I create can be 6 million polygons, for example. And this can be achieved it has no OpenGL. You don't have to have a really fast computer, but what you see are pixels with depth information. And to make this clear, I turn off the texture and go into the alpha palette and go to grab dock. And what you can see is that there's alpha created, the depth information for every pixel. They are called pixels, and there are pixels actually with depth information. And imagine if you want to create a character which has seams on the jeans or trousers, then you would go into the Zbrush and create with the 2.5D tools I show you the seam itself. I take Z-add, I use the mRGB, and I would say just quick and dirty, okay? And I would pick up this this alpha, and I can use this alpha in the further process for detailing the 3D model. I will show you it later. And now I'm going to go into one thing you can use. You have in the tool palette, you have 3D primitives, and you can use these as well as tips of a pen or something. I show you. I take the torus here and choose the stroke type for spray, and now I can spray with this onto my canvas, right? And to close the circle, you can always pick this depth information again and use this as a tooltip for your pen or something, right? Okay, this was the 2.5D part. If I go into the 3D part, I have to drag my 3D object onto the canvas and go into the edit mode. And the edit mode, I clear up this layer. You also have 2.5D layers like in Photoshop to non-destructively work with more layers in the 2.5D mode. I clear this up, and I'm actually in the 3D mode. And what this is, it's actually a 3D primitive which has some parameters here down here under in the initialize tab, and you can adjust the resolution of the model and so basic things. If you ever used a 3D program, you can. This is nothing new for you. But if I want to work on this model, I have to convert this into a polymesh 3D, and this is done by clicking at Make Polymesh 3D. By the way, this palette here on the side is only the menu functions here down up here. You can, for example, if I'm in the Material tab, you can, if you want to use this often, then you click on this icon, and it goes down into the palette, and you can quickly access this. And you can get rid of it by again clicking on this little icon here. Okay, if I want to use this as a tool for modeling, I want to model a head or something, then I have to convert this to a Make Polymesh 3D. And now in the geometry palette, you have, for example, the divide button, and if you click this, the resolution doubles every time I click on this. And if I go up in the resolution, you can see the lower resolution here. And with this slider, I can go back to my original resolution. For what can this be used if you are working on a model and you are doing the wrinkles and the eye sockets and so on? And you want to adjust the eyebrows or something, then you would have to move millions of polygons, and this wouldn't be accurate, and so you would go to a lower subdivision, do the adjustment there, and then go again up to the higher subdivision, and you wouldn't have any loss of the detail you made before. You can, you saw the standard tools for working in 2.5D, but in 3D you have the brushes for, as said, working in 3D. This looks a little bit overwhelming, but there are there are presets from combining the Z-add, the mRGB, and so on. And if I use the standard brush here, I can sculpt onto my model, or if I use the Z-Zub button here, it will carve into the surface and invert its effect. I undo this quick. You can also leave this Z-Add button at its normal state, default state, and if I drag onto my surface here and press the Alt button, then it will inverse the Z-Add function and carve into the surface. What's really cool about ZBrush is that you can work in full symmetry in all axes. You can activate down under the transform menu is activate symmetry, and you have X, Y, and Z, and you have also the possibility to work in radial symmetry. I'll show you this. If I activate X, then you can sculpt onto the surface as said in the X axis symmetrically. And if you go up to the higher subdivision level and you use the standard brush, I detail this a little with a spray or with a custom alpha, just to show you. And as said, if I want to move the eyes, the eyelashes or something, then you could use the move tools, but that wouldn't be that accurate, and you don't want to lose that. You don't want to move a million of polygons. And so you go to the lowest subdivision level, the adjustment. For example, it's ugly, but you get the idea. And if I go up to the higher subdivision, you don't lose the information. What's really interesting is if your art director comes to you and wants you create a character with a breastplate or something, and you want to detail this, and you don't want to do this destructively. I want to work with layers. Imagine this like Photoshop layers, but these work in 3D, in full 3D. And if I click down in the layers menu under this little button, this function requires the highest subdivision level to be active. Okay, I do this quick. And I create a new 3D layer, which is actually in record mode. And if I go to, for example, one of the deco brushes, which work the same, like with the same concepts, with alphas, with mRGB, you can work with them with color or depth information. Okay, and if I do some detailing here, whatever this is, then and I go out of record mode, and then I have this little slider, and I can do, for example, you can use this for facial expressions. You do one character, and then you create a new 3D layer and do your adjustments for brow up, smiling, all the phonemes for A, O, U. Okay, you get the idea, and this also works with so-called poly painting. If you want to say you created a model in ZBrush with these techniques, and you want to go to an external package like Maya or whatever you prefer, then you would need texture maps to have. Imagine a box of cornflakes. You can't put this box into a printer. You have to unwrap it first, and then you can place it into a printer, and you can do the printing on it, right? And if I to have a texture map for further use in a game engine or something, then I would need to unwrap this model. I can cut this up in the back of the head or something, but as a sculptor, you don't want to do the technical stuff at first hand. You want to start sculpting and designing. And there's a technique called poly painting. And what this actually does is I show you at a new sphere. I convert it to a polymesh. And if I activate down here under poly paint, colorize, then what this does, I take the standard tool with the standard settings. Don't get confused by this, what I'm doing quick. You learn this once and it gets second nature. This is no big thing. And I pick, say, a blue color, and I activate RGB, turn off the add, and take care that colorize is on. And if I paint on this, what I'm actually doing here is not painting onto the surface. I'm painting. I'm giving every vertex, every point in space, a specific color. If I reduce the model, then you can see the color information lacks from the resolution by the model itself. Okay, and you can use this. You can go up with this model, and you can place, for example, let's take this one, and you can take textures and alphas, and you can use them for texturing process. Okay, and later on you would convert this information that's stored on every single vertex on the model, and you would convert this later on to a texture map, which you can export for your engine or for whatever, or rendering in another application, right? Now it's time for a new feature. It's called Spotlight, and if I load up a new texture, I took this old lady from the internet, and activate Spotlight down here. And what this gives me is a little wheel, which I can scale up. I can do color correction in this. I can imagine you modeled a head, and you search for an image, and you go step by step in the texturing process and search for eyes, or you do. I simply show you. I reduce the opacity a little to see what's behind, and if I press Z and go into the standard brush and activate mRGB, then I can paint this texture information directly onto the model, right? And if you want to have a little, I changed the shader for this, and if you want to, it's not physically correct, but Zbrush can also use the intensity information for using this as a relief. I show you. I activate the add and deactivate for this short colorize. And now if I do this, it applies. I change the material to a reflective material so that you can see it better. And it applies the. It's not correct. It looks where it's brighter and where it's darker, and it transfers this information onto my model, right? And this makes the creation process of models really cool. But because you can start, you don't have to start in the modeling process by rule. You can also take a sphere. And you can, all the concepts work here as well. You can use symmetry, and let's see what will you get. I activate colorize, and for concept sketching, what I'm doing is simply doodling around here, and searching for for forms, and what can this be? I'm not planning this, and if I'm here, okay, it looks weird in some kind of way, but now I can go from the texturing process into the sculpting process. I can adjust my model like you would do with clay, but there's no, I have to do the modeling stage first, and then you have to unwrap this, and then you have to, you're stuck at no point. You can start with painting, you can start with modeling, and then we come to the so-called Z-spheres. It's a system inside of, inside of Zbrush. Oh my. It's a concept, it's a system you work with little spheres, right? And a sculptor in the real world would take a base model and then go on with Sculpey and put on the clay and moment. I have to quit this. Sorry for that, but okay. This is a Z-sphere, and you can also use symmetrical modeling on this. And I start, if I want to create a base mesh for a character, 2 arms, 2 legs, and then I would simply add more spheres, and moment. You get the idea. And okay, a neck. Okay, and under Adapt Skin, you can go to Preview and take a look at that, what you will get if it's converted. And if I do this, make Adapt Skin, this tool, 3D objects are called tools inside of Zbrush, is shown up here. And this is a skin, an adaptive skin, Z-sphere. And now I can use this as a base mesh. I can use, I can divide it some more and activate symmetry. And can use for example, the clay buildup brush to start sculpting onto this. Right? If you press the Shift key while sculpting, you can smooth out portions of it. And as said, I'm not planning this. I'm just doodling around like a madman. But the thing is, you can find new forms, new designs, new characters, and this comes with the doing of it. You can't plan this, and actually I cannot do this. And if I sculpt onto this, okay, say give him more. Okay, and then now give him some places for eyeballs. Okay, just to show you. Whatever this is, it looks ugly and sloppy, and say now I want to give this guy some eyeballs, then I would go to a new sphere. I won't lose the information about, I won't lose this object, and I have my sphere here, and make it to a polymesh. And under transform, I can activate symmetry, as I told you, and now I activate the radius symmetry. This was the wrong axis. Okay, right. And now I sculpted onto the eyeball, and this is, say, my eyeball for my character. And now under subtools, imagine this as a group of objects, a bunch of objects, and you would append this new. Hello? And I would append this eyeball. Now I have this eyeball in my list, and with the standard move tools would place. Oh, I have to turn off the symmetry. Is this me? Okay. And I would scale this. And it's me. Okay. And I would place the eyeball in the head. I scale it a little bit. And as I told you, if my system is capable of handling 6 million polygons, every subtool of this can be 6 million polygons. And Zbrush doesn't use OpenGL. You don't need to have a high-end computer. RAM is not bad, but you don't have to use a high-end workstation. Okay, on the website of Pixelogic you can get plugins for free. I'm not using plugins for Photoshop, but because of the people who are using, many people who are using plugins can only use the specific plugin and don't learn the concept behind it to get there without the plugin, right? But the tools from Pixelogic that are added to Zbrush are really essential tools and make your life easier. And I'm using a plugin called Subtool Master, and what this simply does is I mirror the eyeball sphere on the vertical axis, and it will show up as a new subtool. Done. Simple. And now I can go to the base model and go on with my sculpting independently from the other subtools. Okay, just to show you. Right? Okay, there a little. I think you get the idea. Okay, one thing. I'm out of ideas. Sorry, please. Okay, right. Another thing is if you want to do accessories like rings for your character, or you want to do cloth, or starting with cloth, then I would go. You can. Okay, I have to show you first. You can do masking inside of Zbrush. If you press the control button, you get the settings for masking inside of Zbrush. And if I do this on my model, then the darker areas are the masked areas. And if I do some sculpting here, the masked areas would be protected, right? And I can reverse the masks. You can go down to the masking options. You can sharpen the mask. You can blur the masks. Or you can do masking by cavity. If you want to have a character which has really detailed skin, and you want to only edit the wrinkles inside, right? Or the areas around it, then you would go into mask by cavity, for example, and then it like a bumpy surface where physically dust can settle down, right? Then it would mask out these areas, and you can invert these masks and work on these specific areas, right? And if you can use these masking tools for creating cloth, for example, and I would paint like a t-shirt or breastplate or whatever onto this guy, right? And under subtools, there's at first it's a little confusing, but you get used to it. Don't let this stop you from starting learning Zbrush. You can get the full free version, try-out version from Pixelogic, and if you started it right once, I think you're. And there's the extract button, and you can do some settings here for the thickness or the smoothing that's done by extract. And we have created from the masking a base mesh that looks, or it could be used for cloth or something, and I can adjust this a little with a move brush. And you get the idea. You can go into your favorite package and use this with physics, and that you have the right look that real cloth would give you. But for a starting point, this is quite nice. And as said, you have another subtool, and this subtool can also have, not on this machine, but at home, the machine can handle 6 million polygons, and this particular subtool can also be, I don't know how they do this, but it's not slowing down a machine, right? Oh, one thing. And as said in the beginning, if you want to detail your model with a alpha you created steps before, then you can use, for example, the alpha. Okay, the program shut down, but you get the idea. There's where the circle closes. There's no. This is 3D, and this is a tool, and this is. You can also grab this information, grab doc. And you have the depth information, which you can use for compositing purpose. You can use this for if you want to get depth of field effects. If you are inside of Photoshop, you export a depth channel, you export a subsurface scattering channel to get the effects with light scattering beneath the skin or something. And you can do the like an optical lens. You can adjust the focal point in post. Get out of 3D. They always tell, do the stuff in 3D till you're on a specific point, and then go into the post. Nobody renders the perfect scene in one take and doesn't adjust the shadows or something. Work with passes, right? And as said, if I go onto a new tool, edit mode, I also can use this as a brush. One moment. Make polymesh. Higher the resolution. Moment. Right? You get the idea, and and you can adjust the alpha tiling, for example. You can adjust alpha and texture. You can say alpha tiling, and this will repeat this alpha 5 times. And you create your tool within ZBrush. If you say you want a structure for this wheel of this mouse, right? Then you would just create a stroke, grab this as an alpha, and go on with sculpting on your real mesh. This makes this incredibly easy, and you can go into detail and into detail. And one thing you can, this model has now, I think, 8,000 polygons, right? 8,000 points, actually. And if you want to go really in depth, then you have the possibility to activate the white HD, right? And this is a mode which allows you to, in the left corner you see, we have actually 2.09 million polygons. And I can let's try what this machine can handle, okay? And no 3D package could actually handle this kind of high amount of points. And inside of ZBrush, if I want to work in the HD mode, I select an area I want to work on and press the A button. And now, these are, I think, 6 million polygons or so. I don't know what I adjusted in the preferences. And now I can go into this particular area. I activate a perspective, true perspective here. And now, just to give you an idea here, I take this high resolution alpha and carve here into the surface. I deactivate the alpha tiling right now. Okay. Just to give you a moment. If I go out of the HD sculpting mode, then this is what you get without the HD mode. And to show you the difference, if I press A outside of the model, you really can see the difference, I think. I detail it a little bit more. I quit this. I use the built-in skin brush. It's nothing. And this is how you can achieve really, really high detailed models. But no software would handle this. So you have to first have to unwrap this model. You can do this with the plugin, for example, UV Master. Okay, I got it. And okay, I show you. First, I start a new sphere. Make it a polymesh 3D, and go into unwrap. I can click on unwrap and use the default settings. But imagine if you have a character and you cut it here, right? Then you would run into problems, maybe into problems on the stitching points where the two cuts meet, right? And so you would place the seams on a not visible place, like the back head or behind the arms or so. Okay, and you can use enable control painting, and I can choose a protect area. And what I do now is with the red color, I say, okay, I want to. Oh no, one moment, please. Sorry for this. I show it with a pre-made head or so. Document. No, I show you with this. And this area would be protected in the unwrapping process, and the attract is there where the cut is going to happen, right? I do this very sloppy, but you get the idea. And if I go into plugins, unwrap, now the model will be unwrapped, and you can see this on the texture map. I show you like with new from UV map. And this is what happened to the sphere. I cut it on the behind, and it unwrapped this, and now I could use this text. If I converted the painting I did with polypaint into a texture or a displacement map, I'm going to show you. Say we have a model with it doesn't show up the polygon, actually, doesn't matter. I just detail the thing a little bit with a so-called fracture brush. You can do your own brushes. But if you want to have this in your engine, or you can use this as landscape generator. They use it for matte painting, right? For backgrounds or something. And this model wouldn't ever. I don't know how high the poly count is. But the workflow would be that I go down to the lowest subdivision level that my system actually can handle, and then create a so-called displacement map. This takes a while, but this creates a grayscale map. You can see it here, which has also a grayscale image which deforms the model later on, or you can use this as a bump map. You can create normal maps. You can export everything out of Zbrush, and you the renderer inside of Zbrush is really cool. You can export different passes from shadow to diffuse or color. But imagine you don't have true perspective. If you have, I show you. Say this is a hallway. You can't walk through this hallway inside of Zbrush. You can't walk behind a pixel with a depth information, right? You have to. You don't have the true perspective that I can go inside of here, right? Okay, you have not a 3D model right here. It's only a fake. You have pixels with depth information at this state. You can to give you the proof. If I grab dark, you have only this. You have always pixels with depth information. Only if I export this model out of Zbrush, it will create a 3D model out of it, right? But that's the only way to get that high details and create models in that size. If you, oh, sorry for that. Okay. Do you have any questions? Sorry, no problem. Right? Okay. One really cool feature of Zbrush is the so-called Z-spheres 2. It's called Z-sketching, and this is for concept artists a really cool feature to get new ideas, to let things happen, right? And if I start with a single Z-sphere model and I press Shift-A, then I'm in Z-sketching mode. This means I have new brushes up here, and I can use the sketch brush for using this to create muscles or forms. I show you. I don't plan this. I just doodle around and smooth out the areas to carve into the model, and I don't plan this. It's just smoothing and scribbling like mad. And what you get is okay. This could be one moment. This could be eyes. Okay. Then I start creating new spheres around here. And if I stack more and more Z-spheres above and above, the memory gets fuller and fuller. So you can, under Z-sketch, optimize, and it will get rid of the unused, not visible Z-spheres, right? And you can use the, oops. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm just doodling around and searching forms. Okay, this could be a nose. This could be the forehead. This could be the eyes. Okay, and then you can go to unified skin and and Zbrush lets you create a unified skin, which you can find in the tool palette. And it created a mesh for you, which you can also use as a base mesh for sculpting. And what's cool is that Zbrush creates so-called polygroups. Say if you want to have a character, you place it in a T-pose, and you would separate the arms, for example, to make your life easier. Today I want to work on the right hand. I work on two hands because it's symmetrically, okay. But then you have so-called polygroups. And say if I want to work on the nose, then I can just say I want to detail the nose, do the adjustments, and to speed up my machine, and to have my work focused on a separate portion, right? And the problem is, if you see, you have really harsh edges here, right? And if I go inside of this nose and move this a little offset, right? And I would activate the rest of it, then I would get harsh edges, and this looks awful. I undo this. And a new feature inside of Zbrush 4 are group loops. And you can create groups by textures. You can create groups by alphas. You can create groups by masking. You can mask out several areas and then convert them to polygroups. Okay? And there's the starting point, the painting process. And now I show you, for example, the group loop feature. You click on group loops, and it recalculates the edges around the several polygroups with the settings you did for the polish, what the loops, how many loops are created. And if I say move this again, then you get razor sharp edges for creating mechanical work, right? And before Zbrush 3 came out, Zbrush was an organic modeling tool. You can find thousands of creators who do heads or whatever. But with this new feature, you can the flow between razor sharp edges or hard surface sculpting and organic, the transition is seamless, right? There are, for example, the polish brushes. You can, for freehand, you can use them for freehand sculpting hard edges. I raised the resolution a bit and changed the shader to get a better idea of what you're doing. And if you want to model a mech or a robot or something, you can find these edges and bin ich das? For example, if I work with a pinch brush, you can create razor sharp edges, right? And one thing, really cool workflow. Imagine you lose. I changed the shader that you can see this better. You're pinching all the polygons and vertices on one point, right? And if I wanted to add more detail here, I wouldn't have enough resolution to get my whatever here, right? Then you have the possibility to go to a lower resolution. Then I would smooth out. Oh, oops, there's a bug. Bug. Oh no, my fault. Then I would smooth out these areas, right? And then I would say reproject higher subdivision. And this will take the information of the higher subdivision level and reproject it onto the base mesh, which has a better topology to get in these areas. It takes a while on this machine. Okay, I show you this on a lower resolution model. How much time do we have? Oh, 1 hour? Okay. Sorry for that. Okay, this I want to show you. This is okay. I have the model. I did some adjustment here, raised the resolution, and did some hard surfaces. And a little bit of pinching. Right, I'm losing resolution here. Here's it really dense, but here I would need more information or more polys. I would go to a lower subdivision level, smooth it out, and reproject higher surface information. And what this does, it arranges the information, the mesh new, and gives me the possibility to have more resolution on these areas without losing the whole mesh, right? And if I wanna, just one moment, then I would have enough resolution at this point, and not if I'm pinching it here, right? Have you any questions, please? Yeah, you have so-called retopo tools. If you have your character and it has and the artist has the technical approach. For example, if you want to have the armband, then you have at least 3 vertex rows, right? To have the one 50% from the bone there and 50% from the bone there. Then you would limit the artist, and the artist should simply model 5 million polygons, 100 million polygons, right? And not have these in mind. This, but the coder has to use this and the conventions. You wanna be free from the technical conventions, right? But you can use the Z-spheres to retopologize your model, right? This means you have your model and you paint a new grid with fixed topology on your model, and you create a new cage, say a low poly cage, and this sticks onto your high resolution model, right? And you can. This is the technical achievement from this thing. But you can, if you say you want to reduce your model for 3D printing, there's in the Netherlands there's a service. They have you send them your 3D model and they can print it out layer by layer, and you can print it out even not in plastic, but in glass, in silver, and in metal. And this is cool. You can create rings or something with this. It's not just the digital aspect. You can use this as a creation tool for your next ring collection or something, right? Or and there's a plugin called Decimation Master, which reduces your model. Not for use for correct use in a game engine or something. This wouldn't work right, because you need the topology to deform. You have to always work in rings that the eyes close right, and you know. And but for printing purpose, you can reduce a model that has 5 million polygons to 100,000 polygons. That would be good for 3D printing, right? And as said, if you get the idea, if you start working with the basic tools, then the day comes when you say, moment, I can start here, I can start here, I can start in the. There's a quick sketch inside of Zbrush, and you start with you learned how to use the basic tools once, and you can sketch and create your basic concept here, say one giant bee or something like that, I don't know. And you can start from here, or you can use this as a reference for further sculpting. I can go to the Z-spheres. Oops, never worked with this actually, I don't know. But you can place this as a backplate and use the sculpting for the proportions and so on, right? And also, Zbrush has a new timeline for, say if you have a model and you want to show it to, 1 second please. I initialize Zbrush. And say we have a base head here. Right. And you can use a new layer, and we want to say this guy should frown a little. Okay. Then you have a timeline, and you can, one moment, timeline, show timeline. This is not meant to be as an animation package. It's a modeling package, but you can. It hasn't the animation features of Maya or Cinema 4D or something. But you can create the. If you want to show your model to somebody, you can create an animation from this to this, and you can do a camera movement around it to show your work as an artist. And a movie tells more than one still image, and the director can say, "Hey, these horns look great," or reduce them, and this comes better. The modeler don't want to learn animation in specific. That's right there, but they want to show their work, and you can also use Zbrush as a small animation package to use. For example, your job is to create facial expressions for a character. Then you want to show this, and you don't want to add the perfect lighting for the final shot or something, right? Please, another questions, if there are one. 5 minutes? Right, cool. Yeah?
Support for the Wacom graphic tablets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
sure.
Pressure and so on?
Absolutely. If you work with a Wacom, then it's much better than with a mouse. And you can go in the pressure sensitivity. Moment, I show you. Draw. Where it was? Yeah, I think it was in preferences. You can tablet. Right. You can adjust this, and this is the real working process inside of Zbrush. Don't get scared from the interface. It's the movements you can do inside of Zbrush are for the canvas are up here. For the canvas, you can zoom the canvas. You can the navigation inside of Zbrush is actually easy, but for example, if you want to rotate around this, you click outside of it, and left mouse button, you can rotate around it, or you can use these buttons. I never use them. And if you want to move, you click the Alt button and outside of a model, and you can move around. And this is a little tricky, but don't let this stop you from learning Zbrush. You press the Alt button, you press the left mouse button, you release the Alt button, and now you can zoom. This is a little awkward at first, but come on, it gets second nature, and you don't think about this. It's like driving a car. One question. Okay, then thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the show.